4 years have passed after Majin Buu was defeated, but on the sacred world of the Kai, the Supreme Kais and Old Kai were talking to King Kai about Beerus waking up early. However, the still dead Goku was training on King Kai's planet and overheard their conversation. So, King Kai explains to him who Beerus is and what a God of Destruction does, though when he says he'd like to fight Beerus, King Kai scolds him. Back with the Supreme Kais and Old Kai, they were wondering how many planets would be destroyed this time by Beerus. On Beerus' planet, Whis was walking to Beerus' bedroom as alarm bombs exploded inside it. He wanted to continue to sleep, but when Whis threatened to sing an awakening song, he got right up. Whis then reminded him he wanted to be awoken at this time, so he asked why he did. But Beerus said it was because something in his era concerned him. He just can't remember what. Regardless, Beerus then asked if Frieza destroyed planet Vegeta, which Whis informs him he did. While that delighted Beerus, he said the next time he sees Frieza, he'd destroy him. Though, this is when Whis tells Beerus that Frieza was killed years ago by a Saiyan, as he'd then used his staff to show him the fight between Goku and Frieza on Namek. He also tells Beerus that the Saiyan that killed Frieza is now dead, but there are still a few Saiyans around, even Prince Vegeta. Whis also explains that there is another Saiyan around on Earth named Kale, that helped in reviving the old Supreme Kais and then trained with them. Beerus was surprised to hear that a Saiyan defeated Frieza, so Whis explains to him that the Saiyans have unlocked a form called Super Saiyan. Beerus was also intrigued on how a Saiyan managed to separate the Supreme Kais from Majin Buu and revive the others. So, Whis explains the Force Spirit Fission they used to split the two from Buu. He also says that they used the Dragon Balls on Namek to revive the other two. Regardless, some of this sounds familiar to Beerus, mainly the Super Saiyan part, but he can't remember why, so he decides to go and do his work of destruction to see if it jogs his memory. The first planet he goes to hosted him a ravish dinner, and while he liked the drink they gave him, he thought the food was too greasy, so he destroyed half of their planet before taking his leave. Meanwhile, on Earth, since Goku has been dead for years and the Ox King's money had run dry, Chi-Chi had to start a farm in order for them to survive. Since Goten still lived with her, she would get his help with the farming. Then with Kale and 18, they were continuing their studies of animals in his time of peace. Also, even though they didn't need the extra money, 18 participated in the 26th World Martial Arts Tournament for the money. Of course, she won, so she got to keep her title of champion. Back with Goten, Gohan was now married to Videl, so he wanted to get a wedding present for her. So, with the help of Trunks, they still get the spring water and give it to Videl as her present. Meanwhile, back on the sacred world of the Kai, the old Kai and Supreme Kai sensed that another planet was destroyed. Then with Vegeta, he took Trunks and Bulma to the amusement park to fulfill his promise to Trunks from before, though he eventually gets annoyed enough to return to Capsule Corporation, as he then resumes his training to surpass Kale. Then on a planet named Majina, a group of cavemen like aliens attacked and killed a dinosaur. However, Whis then appeared and asked him if he could have the dinosaur to give to Beerus. The chief refuses, so Beerus then appears, which causes the alien chief to transform and attack Beerus. He easily deflects all his attacks with a finger, and even when the alien uses his fire breath, it doesn't affect Beerus. Since he decided he no longer wanted to eat the dinosaur meat, he destroyed Majina with a small attack. Then on the sacred world of the Kais, they were all having tea together, as the old Kai senses planet Majina being destroyed, and tells the others that it must be Beerus' work. Back with Beerus, he was watching the planet's destruction, which sparked his memory. He remembered his prophetic dream about the Super Saiyan God, so he desired to know more about this dream. As they were returning home, Beerus was hungry, so Whis tells him there was something special in the fridge for him. Though, Whis was also skeptical about this dream, so Beerus decided to consult the Oracle Fish when they returned. Meanwhile, the old Kai was explaining to the others how Beerus just destroys for his own will. They make a comment that Goku thankfully shouldn't be able to meet Beerus since he's dead. This is when King Kai speaks to them telepathically saying that Goku is training on his planet currently. Regardless, when Beerus got to see the Oracle Fish, she didn't remember giving the prophecy at first, but after Beerus threatened to reduce her daily meals, she remembered it being about the Super Saiyan God. So, he then asked Whis about the remaining Saiyans and which one is the closest, which is when Whis tells him that the Saiyan that defeated Frieza is currently training on King Kai's planet. Back on Earth, everyone was gathering for Bulma's birthday party, which was on a cruise ship. Krillin got stuck in traffic, so he decided to fly there instead, which he met up with Yamcha and Puar on the way there. They then all met up with Tien and Shatsu too, so they all arrived at the cruise ship together. Kale, 18, and Solomon arrived, as they got caught up with the others. Gohan, Videl, and Chi-Chi shown up, so Gohan then went to go show Piccolo his wedding photos. Master Roshi and Oolong were lusting over people on the beach, until Chi-Chi stopped them. Lastly, even though he was no longer the world champion, Hercule still came because of Videl. Since Vegeta was late to the party, Bulma had them set sail right away. Back on Beerus' planet, Whis was packing them lunches to eat on the way to King Kai's planet, as it would take about 26 minutes to get there. Since it was going to take that long, Beerus decided to watch an anime episode on the way there. Regardless, on the sacred world of the Kais, the old Kai was fearful about Beerus potentially meeting Goku. Back on the cruise ship, Goten and Trunks snuck to go and look at the prizes, which is when Trunks shows them that the grand prize is the Dragon Balls. This is when Pilaf notices the Dragon Balls on his radar, as they were on a nearby deserted island searching for treasure. So, they go towards the cruise ship, but their boat starts to sink, though Goten and Trunks throws down the rope ladder to rescue them. They then end up eating together, as Goten and Trunks offered them food since they seemed to be starving. Back with Vegeta, Bulma called him and chewed him out for missing the party. Then at King Kai's planet, Goku overhears King Kai worrying that Beerus was on his way, though Goku mentions that he doesn't sense him, which is when he explains that the energy of a god is beyond his comprehension. He also warns Goku that Beerus destroys whatever annoys him, as he then tries to hide Goku in his house. It was too late, however, as Beerus and Whis then arrive. After King Kai greets them, Beerus complains about the planet being small, even though he made it smaller after losing a game of hide and seek. Regardless, he explains why he was there and calls for Goku to come out, which is when he asks about the Super Saiyan God. Goku, of course, mentions that he only knows of a regular Super Saiyan, not a Super Saiyan God. So, Beerus then planned to go to the Earth to ask Vegeta and Kale about the Super Saiyan God form. Before he leaves, Goku then respectfully challenged him to a fight, so Beerus accepts. In just his base form, Goku wasn't even able to land a hit on the god, as he just dodged all his attacks. He was confused how someone like him managed to beat Frieza, so Goku then showed him the Super Saiyan form. Even though Beerus would realize that with this power he could defeat Frieza, he still manages to effortlessly dodge all Goku's attacks. Even when he goes up to Super Saiyan 2, he is still able to dodge every hit from Goku. So, he finally went into his Super Saiyan 3 form, which, in these past 4 years, he managed to master this form as well. Unlike Kale, since he is still dead, he had a far easier time of mastering the form so that it no longer drained his stamina. When he tries rushing at Beerus, he's easily knocked away with a flick to the head. Then when Goku flies back at him, he easily dodges his punches, uses his speed to come behind Goku, and knocks him unconscious with a chop to the neck. Beerus then says he's going to Earth to talk to Vegeta and Kale, as he and Whis then depart. So, King Kai then talks telepathically to Vegeta and Kale, warning them that Beerus is on his way and that he defeated Goku in only 2 blows. Vegeta then rushed to the party to try and warn them, but since Kale was already there, she tried warning them. Before she could, however, they are interrupted by the arrival of Beerus and Whis, which they are then interrupted again by the arrival of Vegeta, who Beerus goes to talk to first. He asks him about the Super Saiyan God, which Vegeta doesn't know anything about it. Though, before he goes on to talk to Kale, Bulma comes up and introduces herself to Beerus and Whis. They do accept her invitation to join the party, but Beerus decides to question Kale before they join in the festivities. So, Beerus would go over to Kale and ask her if she knows about the Super Saiyan God. Kale doesn't know of a form called the Super Saiyan God, but she would know about the form she has been calling Super Saiyan 4. She would explain that when she trained with the Supreme Kai's Grand Supreme Kai, she picked up on some type of other energy and tapped into it, which the Supreme Kai's explained to her that the energy she noticed was God Ki. After tapping into this energy, she unlocked a new form, but they weren't sure what to call it, so they just called it Super Saiyan 4, but since it used God Ki, it might be the Super Saiyan God Beerus was asking about. So, he asked her to transform into this form, so he can judge if it is the Super Saiyan God his dream prophesized. She begins to power up and rise into the sky, as she turns into a Super Saiyan. Golden clouds form and swirl around the cruise ship as the seas become violent. Though she continues powering up, a blue light starts to engulf her. Eventually, a bright blue pillar of light erupts from Kale and pierces the clouds, as it then bursts into an intense aura that quickly dissipates. She then begins to glow red, and when it fades, she descends back to the ground. She now looks younger and thinner, as she is transformed into a Super Saiyan God once more. When Gohan and the others comment on not being able to sense Kale's ki, Whis explains that only gods can sense God ki, so Kale has achieved the Super Saiyan God form. Beerus then challenges Kale to a fight, which she accepts, as they then rise far above the ship. However, since she already unlocked this form before and got to train in it, she wouldn't start off fighting sloppily like Goku did in the actual timeline. After a while of fighting, they decided to take their battle to the stars, as they then flew higher up. Meanwhile, the Pilaf gang wasn't able to find the Dragon Balls, so they started to bawl as they were starving again, but Whis just ordered food and offered to share with them. Back with Beerus and Kale, he fires a yellow spear at her, but she manages to deflect it upwards. She then unleashes a barrage of punches on him, but he manages to dodge all of them except one. After trading more blows, Beerus says that the real battle of the gods will now commence, since they both were holding back before. Beerus then charges another spear of destruction and fires it at Kale, but she manages to crush it in her arms. However, he then grabs her by the face and pushes her downwards to the point that she looks like a meteor streaking through the sky. After she crashes into an island, she flies back up and starts hitting Beerus back, but it doesn't affect him. He then sends her upward and fires another spear of destruction which had damaged the earth, but she uses her resist blast to send it back and destroy it. However, he sends hundreds of them at her, so she then used her blaster stream to obliterate them all, which impresses Beerus, but he makes it clear she is no match for him. She was now worn out, so when Beerus charged at her and stunned her, she began to fall back to the earth. Earth. As she drifted away under the sea, she found motivation to keep fighting, as her injuries healed themselves and she rose back into space. As they prepared to fight again, they both warned each other that they'd be using their full power. As their punches collided, strange shockwaves radiated outwards from them. On the sacred world of the Kai, the old Kai explained that the universe could only take 2 or 3 more of these shockwaves before it was destroyed. Shin tried talking to Kale telepathically to stop her fight there, but she just ignored him. When their fists clashed a third time, nothing happened to the universe as Kale had matched Beerus' punch perfectly to counteract it. After she then scrapes his face and draws blood, he charges up an energy ball and she uses the resist blast, so they get into a beam struggle. This struggle eventually results in an explosion which causes a blinding flash of light. As Kale was now out of breath, Beerus revealed that he had still been holding back his full power until right then so that all energy present was nullified. Regardless, the two continued the fight, but after a while she eventually drops down to her master legendary Super Saiyan form. He didn't recognize his green-haired form, but regardless, Kale didn't realize she dropped out of the God form, so Beerus explains to her she is fully merged with the Super Saiyan God power and made it her own. She just claims that it doesn't matter and only their fight does, so they continue their battle. Beerus soon starts overwhelming her in this fight, as he pushes her back down to the ocean. Though, she gets a second wind, so they rise back up to space once more. This exhausted her as she reverted to her base form. As he then compliments her, Beerus inflicts her head which sends her falling as she begins burning up in the atmosphere. However, pictures of her family and friends rush through her head, since she doesn't want the Earth to be destroyed in vain. To Beerus' dismay, she shoots back up, but as a regular Super Saiyan this time. He was mad she wouldn't let the fight end there, but she told him she won't give up if she still has any energy left. She charged up one last resist blast, but he counters it with a small energy ball. When they collide, they form into a Spear of Destruction, as Beerus sends it at Kale. She struggled to destroy it with one last punch, but this depleted her remaining energy, so she reverted to her base form again. Since she was now truly exhausted, she plummeted through the atmosphere. Vegeta caught her when she reached the ship, but he was disappointed that even with that level of power, she still lost. Beerus returned to the ship as well, as he told Kale she was the second strongest person he's fought. This is when he reveals to them that the strongest person he fought was Whis, who is not only his attendant, but also his martial arts master. He also explains to them that they are part of the 7th universe, and that there are 12 universes in total. Regardless, Beerus says he must keep his promise of destroying the Earth, so he charges a blast and destroys a small rock on a nearby island. He then tells them that he ran out of stamina, and afterwards, Whis offers Kale to become the next God of Destruction after Beerus. Since she loves wildlife, she would turn this down, but Whis might offer to train her eventually. Anyway, Beerus and Whis return to their planet, which is when Whis calls him out for lying about using his full power. Beerus said he did this to draw out Kale's full power, but regardless, when they get to Beerus' planet, Whis takes out the sushi he got for the two of them. When Beerus tries the wasabi and then starts flying around destroying the nearby worlds, Whis karate chops him. After they finish their food, Beerus was going to sleep for 3 years, but Whis reminds him he hasn't brushed his teeth yet. Back on Earth, Kale and 18, along with everyone else, were sitting down together to enjoy a well-deserved meal.